Welcome, everyone. I'm Dr. Tim Brown. I'm the host of PharmCast for the community. We're coming at you from the University of Georgia's College of Pharmacy. And today I have Dr. Patrick Chancy on board. Hi, Dr. Chancy. How are you?
I'm doing great, Dr. Brown. How are you?
I'm doing well, sir. I know that you're the current clinical services director at Chancy Drugs in South Georgia. You're also a third-generation pharmacist. And if I'm not mistaken, you are one of our own, a graduate of the UGA program in 2017. Is that correct?
That is absolutely correct. Been a dog for a long time.
Very nice. And I know you do a podcast with your buddy on UGA football as well.
Yes, we do. So I'm used to this format, so I'm a big fan.
Well, thanks for joining us. The whole purpose of PharmCast for the community is really talk to the community about what's going on about their medications, what's going on about how to get their medications. I know you and your family have been a part of the pharmaceutical world for a long time. And with Chancy Drugs, you guys are in South Georgia. So tell me a bit, what have you seen with regard to how COVID-19 or this viral plague, as I'm calling it, what's it done to your community, or what's it done basically with people trying to get access to your store or to help or even to their medications?
So especially when this first happened, like the media portrayed and the way that it was being portrayed across the country, a lot of panic. There was really a spectrum. There was on one end, there was folks that were very nonchalant and didn't think and just thought this was another flu. And then on the other end, you had people that thought that this was the end of civilization as we know it. And so we're fighting back and forth, but figuring out who's on what end. But that was initially, and obviously you still have some folks that are on either end of the spectrum, but people are starting.
Those folks that panicked, though, went out and bought a lot of things, including toilet paper and hand sanitizer and all those kinds of things. I know that one of the things that most people don't realize is pharmacists compound a lot of products that are specialty products. But didn't you take the skill to the new level? Didn't you compound hand sanitizer for your area because people were running out?
Yes, we actually did. Our compounding team, we were actually kind of preparing for this once the initial scare started. But for those that may not be familiar, the FDA allows us to compound anything that's not commercially available as regularly anyway. But the FDA did relieve some of their measures around hand sanitizer when you couldn't find it at all. So we got back there. Our compounding pharmacists got together and our team, and we started making hand sanitizer, and we're really able to get to all of our patients. And then now we're really focusing on making sure our first line responders have access. So we're delivering to our police forces in town. We're making sure that our EMS have it and our hospitals have it. So we're not as making it as large now as some of these breweries, but we were able to jump on it very quickly and make sure people had access.
That's amazing. So right now, I mean, not that the shift in the community is not important that people have hand sanitizer, but you've taken it to the next level and moved it to folks that are first responders, EMS, police, that's an incredible part, a gap I didn't even think about. That's brilliant.
Yeah. So, and it was our compounding team was the ones that kind of led the charge and said, we can do this, and took on the challenge. And so we used the tools that we had available to us and really made sure that we met the needs.
Very nice. Well, I think the other thing, as we talk about those who panicked or maybe those who are kind of nonchalant, no matter which one you are, you still are probably on some medication that you use every day, what we call chronic medications. Are people still able to come in and get chronic medications? I mean, I think with quarantine and people staying at home, have you seen a reduction in people coming in, or have you seen, as you point out, maybe those people who've come in and asked for even more? How are you handling that?
Well, and we're really seeing a spectrum. So really, anytime Governor Kemp gets on the podium or behind the microphone, we see a big rush of patients. So after the initial, the voluntary stay in shelter order that was put out, there was a big rush of patients and a lot of folks really wanting to get their medication early. And then the second time that he got up and made that executive order, we had a big rush of patients. But for the most part, absolutely, everybody can get all their medications. We're not seeing really any shortages, anything that's slowing us down. And so obviously we're deemed essential during this time. So any pharmacy is still open and able to take care of you. But what you do need to do is you need to be communicating with your pharmacy more often than you may have normally. And then if they are reaching out to you, it's very important that you talk to them as well, because they want to make sure that you're getting your medications, because these chronic medications now, it's more important than ever that you're taking them. We need to be as prepared physically as possible to be able to fight off any kind of infection. Our body needs to be operating at 100%.
So, I guess the question comes down to, obviously I could come into the store, but I know that's been sort of limited these days. How are you and the other pharmacists and then folks that work for Chancy Drugs, how are you guys getting the medications to people? Are people still coming in, or have you found, I guess we'll say, workarounds, alternative ways to get people their medications? Have you done that in South Georgia?
Yes, we have. Needless to say, we've had to get creative and also learn from our colleagues. So we are at our locations. We are drive-through only now. So all of our patients that are coming to our location are being funneled through our driveway and or drive-through to make sure that they're getting taken care of that way. Trying to make sure we limit interactions between our staff and for our patients to our staff, and then that also limits any contact that our staff have with more patients and whatnot, and that way we can kind of control that. So we have that leave staff that can kind of run the vehicles and communicate, so we can try to get people moving quickly. But we also are doing curbside, so if there are patients that need some extra attention, we can go to them curbside. We are also, and have been doing this for decades, but we are still doing our free delivery. And so we have drivers that are now running harder than ever to make sure that patients are getting their medications. They're obviously not coming in direct contact. We're dropping off medications. They're wearing masks and gloves on their routes, and making sure that they're not passing anything along to the patients. And so we've been doing that. And then we also have what we call our medication synchronization program, which is a clinical med sync program, we like to call it. And so we actually get all of our patients' medications, their chronic medications, like you were talking about, lined up to the same day every month, to make sure that they only have to make one trip, or we make one trip to them. That limits interactions, and it also makes sure we're checking on it's more of us being proactive to make sure that they get those medications, and not reacting to, oh gosh, I've only got one pill left and I'm going into Sunday, I got to rush to the pharmacy and hop in line with everybody else. So we're trying to make sure we're being proactive with our patients.
But now people can do that. I mean, I know that you're doing that, and the other stores in your family are doing that as well. However, you could do that at any community pharmacy, right? With a simple phone call to the pharmacist saying, can I kind of sync these up where I can come in or have them delivered or curbside service, one day a month versus 3 times a month? That can be done anywhere, correct?
Yeah, absolutely. And there are pharmacies that do this already, like we do, and so they have infrastructure put into place. But yeah, it shouldn't be a problem with these pharmacies, especially now with the relaxing of the rules, if you will, on when things can be refilled and whatnot. So now is really a better time than ever to get your medications lined up. And this is also an adherence measure. So when you're running out of one medication, you should be running out of all of them. Then that means
Right.
you're taking them all at the same day, at the same time.
So go back. You just mentioned something. I know that there was a couple of changes in regulations when it comes to refills for your medications. What changed? What made this a little bit easier for people to get a supply of medications?
So from the state level, Governor Kemp, in his executive order, he allowed for any chronic medications to be filled. The pharmacy can have an emergency fill, kind of put that in quotations, an emergency fill for up to 90 days. Because all these doctors' offices some are shutting down, closing during this time, don't want to be seeing patients. So if for some reason we're not able to get in contact with the physician, Governor Kemp has given us the ability to be able to fill a 90-day supply, whether the prescription was written for it or not. So this is a medication that you take chronically for any chronic disease state, any pharmacy is now able to take care of you in that way. So if your pharmacy is telling you that you don't have refills and that we're just going to have to wait for a doctor's call, you can make sure that they are aware of that, and they should be reaching out to you about that.
And I think a lot of people to realize when you say chronic medications, I want to review like high blood pressure, diabetes, thyroid. But the one I think most people don't realize is your inhalers, right? So if you have COPD or asthma, you can get a 90-day supply of your inhalers, which I think is pretty important as we talk about COVID-19, of keeping your lungs functioning as great as they can be right now. So don't forget that aspect to it as well. I think the other question I had earlier is, as you talk about, med sync and counseling and compounding sanitizer for the community, this might be a great time to talk to folks about keeping their medications with one pharmacy. So I may have 5 different medications, but I found maybe I save $10 if I go to the other pharmacy, and I save $5 over here. And I get all that. This might be a time to not only sync up your timing, but bring everything back to one family or one house. Is that a fair statement?
Yeah, absolutely. And we like to talk to our patients about that. From us, from a just from a wanting to be able to take care of our patients as best as possible, from that desire, we really need to know everything you're taking, not only prescription medication, but anything over the counter, anything like that. So we're always talking to our patients, communicating with them, and for services like these, like our Med Sync. That allows us to monitor their adherence, make sure they're taking it the right way. And if there are changes, we can see what those changes are. So maybe saving a couple dollars here or saving a couple of dollars there, if you're able to get these services that can better take care of you, like these free delivery and things like that, you're probably going to save money down the road, but it's also more importantly going to be able to take care of you better.
I understand. So I want to say thank you for taking your time. I know you're busy. I know that the stores are doing a brisk business because people are really trying to stay ahead of the game and stay healthy. If I have to ask you for one pearl, one thing to let the community know about what's going on with pharmacy and access to medications, what would you tell them today to sort of remind them during this time?
So really, the biggest thing is we're all in this together. This now more than ever, you really need to stay on top of your healthcare and your family's healthcare. I know right now I have a grandmother who had pneumonia a while back and was really struggling and has had issues breathing. And so right now she's on lockdown, but we're making sure that she's getting all her prescription medications and getting everything she needs to best take care of her. Make sure you're doing that for yourself and for your family and your loved ones during this time. We all have a responsibility to take care of each other, and so staying adherent to your prescription medication is more important now than ever.
That is a really great advice, not only just for yourself, but your family members and those that you're a caregiver for that may live outside your home. Thank you again for Dr. Chancy for visiting with us today, for talking with us, and best of luck down that way as you're battling everything going on with COVID-19 and keeping people safe and healthy in your community. We say thank you once again for your time.
I appreciate it. Thanks for letting me share, and go Dogs.
Thank you, sir.